rotten tomatoes.
In there. I mean, you two have worked together a few times now. It's just one of those great collaborations that just works. I just wondered if you can recall when and where you first met, and if you could kind of tell you were creatively kind of aligned when right off the offset.
Well, I met Neil. We were shooting John Boorman's, Excalibur, 1979, 1980, and Neil was commissioned to make a documentary about the making of the film, a beautiful film too. So I officially then met Neil. I remember the pub too, and so that was that. That was 1979, 80, and yeah,
I wrote part of Excalibur. You know that?
Did you?
I didn't get a credit. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, John Boorman, great director. Mentor for me.
And me too.
Yeah, like a father in a strange way. He had this enormous script.
Huge.
That was 300 pages long. And he asked me to rewrite it because I'd been doing some work with him. He asked me to go through it with him, and I was kind of labouring through the kind of more dart and all these things and paring a script down. I wrote some of the lines you spoke, actually.
No way.
You didn't know that. But
I didn't.
It was,
no.
It was strange.
How come you didn't get a credit for it?
Because I was a lowly Irish scribbler. That's, and I probably didn't deserve one really. But, he did need someone to pare down this enormous tome that he had, And I was just about to make it. I went to see Star Wars, and I thought, okay, here's a mythic thing that only lasts 90 minutes. I was going, John, we got to do this. He said, no, I'm off to shoot the movie. I was going, you can't. We haven't finished yet.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
It was fun. But the first time I think I saw you was in that Translations. I think. Was that before Excalibur? It was.
That was just after Excalibur.
Just after.
Yeah. Just after. Yeah.
Yeah.
A wonderful play, a masterpiece actually by Brian Friel, who's no longer with us, great Irish dramatist.
But you were doing a lot of theatre at the same time, weren't you?
Yeah.
In Dublin, a small place. Yeah.
We sort of romanticise over the kind of the era that Marlowe's kind of set in. It's kind of 1930s, kind of old Hollywood. I was just wondering, Neil, how was it having the keys to that kingdom? It must have been quite fun. Did it kind of tap into that kind of the original reason why you first kind of got into filmmaking and storytelling?
Not really. I mean, I'm a Rainer Werner Fassbinder man. You know what I mean? The reason when I fell in love with movies, it was all German cinema. It was. Isn't that weird? Yeah, but that's 1970s when I was growing up. That's where the excitement was. Wim Wenders, Fassbinder, and
Truffaut.
Huh?
Like Truffaut.
Kind of. I just love the German expressionist madness in a way. But it's. Sorry, what was the question you asked me?
I was just asking about having the kind of the keys to this period.
Well, what I loved about this was, when you look at, if you're to look acerbically at the character Marlowe, the same things always happens to him. He has a gun. He rarely uses it. Actually, almost never uses his gun. A blonde comes into his office. Leads him on a strange journey. He gets battered many times. Gets bashed over the head. He always takes the Mickey Finn. Always, yeah. Why is that? Does he not know? When he's, let's have a drink and talk about it. Oh, sure, I'll take the drink. Whoa, suddenly I'm on the ground. And you never know what's going on, It's kind of a wonderful template, isn't it, for a movie in a strange way. But it's, I thought we can bring some change on this character. And with Liam playing the role that was played by,
Bogart,
obviously Bogart,
Mitchum.
Robert Mitchum. If you look at what was the one that it was called? Farewell, My Lovely. Yeah, have you seen that movie?
No, I've not seen that. No,
never seen it.
No, I've never seen it. Really,
it's not a great film, but Mitchum is extraordinary in it. Yeah, and the design in it is extraordinary. And it's made with It's kind of made
1970s.
With odd street corners. No, it wasn't set in the 1970s. It was set in the period. Mitchum made a later one with
Michael Winner.
Michael Winner, set in London, which was not very good. But the earlier one, it was designed by Dick Silbert, I think, and they made it on such minimal things with little bits of neon on street corners. Obviously in Los Angeles, it was kind of an inspiration for me to do this movie because, we were. We had a constrained budget. I had to reinvent LA the way Dick Silbert probably did in that movie, and I had a tall man playing Marlowe, and Mitchum was tall, wasn't he?
He was
Yeah.
tall,
Yeah.
Yeah, when I sort of go into films, it was also kind of German filmmakers, but more the ones that went to Hollywood, you know, kind of like Billy Wilder,
Billy
Lubitsch,
Wilder,
people
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But Liam, I mean, when you play a detective, I mean, obviously you hear the kind of method actors. They're going to play, someone plays a doctor, they go to a hospital and they kind of observe. But when you play someone like a private investigator, are your reference points other cinematic creations? Because it is a kind of character and world that's so ingrained into the kind of fabric of cinema in some ways.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of putting it. I was aware, obviously, Bogart and especially Robert Mitchum, whom I adored as a teenager. It wasn't John Wayne, you know, but Mitchum just did something, you know. He played Marlowe twice, and I'm an avid reader, and I'm ashamed to say I had never read Raymond Chandler until you know, I knew we were going to be doing this together. And he's written 7 novels with Marlowe as the protagonist, you know. Complicated plots, but fantastic writing, you know. So it was the books that kind of influenced me, I must say, you know. And this extraordinary script, William Munnan and Neil, and a chance to work with Jessica Lange again, and Diane Kruger, beg your pardon. And to get into these 1930s clothes, you know. And light cigarettes.
And to smoke
stuff.
cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's such. We miss smoking so much.
Yeah.
It was great, wasn't it? When you could smoke. Yeah, you'd be outside the pub. Give us one of those.
You still can.
What's happened to the world? Nobody can smoke anymore. It's like
You're looked on as if you're a leper.
well, nobody does, and it's right they don't. But it was great smoking when it lasted.
I know, but it's fine. I love, because one thing you've got to do, Liam, in this, I guess, suppose, is what kind of Mitchum and Bogart did so well, is you've always got to know something the audience doesn't. Is that quite a fun thing to play with? That kind of...
Yes, I guess. Because everybody thinks you're kind of slow. You know, in these movies you see the Marlowe type characters and wait a minute, back up. Did you say A and B and C? But he's actually thinking D and E. Do you know what I mean? It's cool to be ahead of the audience because audiences are smart, you know. They'll pick up stuff very, very easily and quickly, you know. Sometimes we take them too much for granted, audiences, but they're sharp. Still are, this day and age.
I was going to, according to the beacon of knowledge that is IMDb, I know, Liam, this is your 100th movie that Marlowe is. When you first started, did you foresee a career like this? Were you ambitious enough to maybe to see yourself making that many films and having the career you did? Or have you always just kind of taken it step by step?
I was delighted to become a professional actor in 1976 in the theatre in Belfast and then moved down to Dublin. I think my ambitions then would have been, God, it wouldn't it be great to be in the National Theatre of Great Britain. That would have been my ambition. Then we did Excalibur with the wonderful John Boorman. Knights in shining armour, riding horses and stuff, and it was like euphoric, the feeling, you know. It was euphoric. And John, Neil will tell you too, was a fantastic mentor. He would bring Gabriel Byrne, myself, Kieran Hines. Kieran and I were doing a lot of scenes together. He'd bring us behind the camera and say, look, here's what I'm shooting.
Oh, would he really?
And I'm
Wow.
eventually going to come in and you and Kieran at the round table. Yeah, it was a terrific learning curve, you know. I owe John so much.
But you had no embarrassment of going to Hollywood at all. Do you remember Darkman? Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Darkman was great, Liam, you know?
Yeah, it was
I know.
it was
I mean,
world.
most actors, most British, Irish actors, they'd say, oh, I'm not really into the Hollywood thing or the American thing. You know, I mean, Angela Lansbury had no embarrassment about that, nor did you. You know, go for it.
But
Go
it's
for
also
it.
where the work was.
I know.
you know.
It's also where the good movies are, too. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah.
100 films, Neil, do you have a favourite? Out of Liam's 100, do you have a favourite?
Of Liam's 100 movies?
Yeah.
Well, I obviously love the one. I love the one we did together, Michael Collins. I really love that. But Liam played very generously played a priest for me in a wild movie I made called Breakfast on Pluto. You know, which was kind of a Cillian Murphy played this trans character who went through the last 30 years of Irish history, you know?
Yeah.
And Liam's presence in that movie drew all these strands together in a beautiful way, I think. And, you know, I was amazed that Liam said he would play that role. I was thrilled, actually. And it was a beautiful character.
Beautiful
That scene
film,
where
too.
he goes into the little peep show.
Yeah.
And, yeah. That was an interesting movie for me, actually, because it was kind of revisiting a lot of the stuff I shot in London, you know, when I did that movie Mona Lisa, and the whole Irish experience of horrible bombs going off and being accused of. It's not me, man. I'm sorry, I didn't do anything. It was a strange period to be Irish in London at that time, you know, and that movie enabled me to take a journey through that.
Yeah, I would have asked you what your favourite is, Liam. Most actors say they can't ever choose.
I've been saying it, and it is Michael Collins.
Oh, it is, yeah.
For many, many reasons. And I know it took a number of years to get, the money together and for Neil to be given permission to take it, not least because there was a war going on in the north of Ireland. And also Michael Collins was highly, highly controversial figure, still is. And but it was a special moment for me. It really was on lots of levels, you know.
Brilliant. Well, it's been a wonderful career. There's still loads more to come, I'm sure. Thank you so much, guys. Much appreciated.
Thank you very
Cheers.
much.
Take care.
Thanks, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey,